Everyone. I wanted to welcome you to this month's episode of World Kitchen. This is Luciana Alvarez. She's my guest chef today, and Lucy is from Venezuela. She's also a WPSU intern this year, so she's been working with our team at the station, and we're really thrilled to have her with us. As always, the kitchen smells amazing because she's already been doing a lot of prep here for the last few hours. And I can't wait to show you what she's done and to let you see how beautiful this is all going to turn out. I'm very excited because I had an opportunity to go to Venezuela back in the early 90s and I loved the food there. So this one is especially exciting for me. So I will say that I want to thank our sponsor for World Kitchen, which is the Outreach and Online Education Office of Inclusion, Equity, and Diversity. And they've been sponsoring us since the middle of last year, and we're very grateful for their sponsorship. And then I think I'm just going to let Lucy take it away, and she's going to get started with dessert, which is always my favorite because it's going to take a while to cook. So she's going to start with that, but she'll start off just introducing herself and telling you a little about herself. And I'll be in the background. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to unmute and ask or put something in the chat, and Alex and I will read Lucy the questions, and she'll answer your questions as we go along. Also, if you're cooking along, let us know you're cooking along, and if it's going a little too fast for you, let us know as well, and we'll try to slow down a little because we did do quite a bit of prep ahead of time. So take it away, Lucy.
Hey guys, my name is Luciana. You guys can say Lucy.
Louder.
So today we're gonna start with quesillo. It's a really traditional dessert in Venezuela. We usually do it for like the parties and the celebrations. It's really simple. It takes a little while to cooking. Originally, I'm from Los Teques, Venezuela. It's this little city on top of the mountains, and it's just a place with a lot of Portuguese culture and Venezuelan culture and Spanish culture. So that's gonna be something that's gonna be shown along the way. So yeah, so we can get started. For the quesillo, you're probably gonna need condensed milk, the evaporated milk. It's in the recipe, and okay. Do I take it?
Yeah, you can take it, and Alex will bring up.
So you're also gonna need a blender, guys. It's not gonna be like KitchenAid. We're just gonna make it directly towards the blender, and you're gonna need a pan for the sugar and the caramel. Okay, so first thing first, you guys are gonna grab the condensed milk, and we're gonna pour it here in the blender. Just gonna need 1 can. You're probably gonna need like a little spoon or something so like the condensed milk like gets like all the way in.
Is there any special history to this in your family?
So in my family, well, for me, my mom, like anytime she needs to rush, she will always make a quesillo. So like she will like never make like, okay, like if she has like time to make a cake, she'll make a cake. But I think it's just something that is super simple that like we always like, it was so normal for us to have like the smell of caramel in my house because she was like, I need to move, we need to rush, but I want to give something to like the person that invited us in the house, and it was always like something that was around us. Like even when there was just like a cake and a party, there will always be a quesillo. Okay. So now let's put like the evaporated milk, and it's just like that because like my mom, she was always someone that was in the kitchen. I come from like a family of like cooks, and like for example, my grandfather, he has a restaurant in Venezuela. So we was kind of always around that culture of like, okay, let's make desserts, let's make like salty stuff. So I don't know, it's just something that I grew up around. And after you like the evaporated milk and the condensed milk, we're gonna put the 3 eggs. Mine are already cracked and in the bowl. You guys need some time, like you guys can crack them and pour them in. It's gonna be like so, and it's gonna be everything together. So it's not something that like you're gonna blend first and then add more stuff. Just gonna be all in one. We're gonna add the vanilla and just a little bit of rum. We're not gonna put all this. I know like the bottle looks big, but it's just like one like teeny tablespoon of like of rum. And if you don't have rum, you can put any liquor. Just so that the quesillo has a bit of flavor. It's something completely optional. If you don't want to add alcohol to the quesillo, it does not have to be done. It's just kind of like something that my mom will always do, and I kind of grew up around that. And the only thing we're not gonna add right here, it's gonna be the sugar. The sugar is gonna be for the pan because it's kind of like two-way system. So when everything's inside, we're just gonna close it down. And we're gonna turn this on. This is not my blender, so give you like a few seconds to figure out how you turn this on. And you do not want to overbeat it. It's just like a few seconds, like a few minutes, and that's it. That's all you need to do. The oven is already preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm just gonna open this and let it sit there for a little while. We're not gonna touch it because what we're gonna move on is gonna be the sugar. So you're gonna like preheat your pan to medium heat. So let me just turn it on. And you need to be really careful with the sugar. Yesterday I was working with it and I even burned it. So it's just something that you need to keep your eyes in. I'm just gonna move it a little around and not touch it. And we're just gonna look at it and talk a little while about like this sugar is like cooking. I will suggest keeping your little pan right next to you, because what we're gonna do is just, we want the sugar to like get into like this caramel sort of color that is kind of soft. It can be a little bit dark. And then we're gonna put it here in the walls and gonna start moving it. So this part is kind of tricky. If you're afraid, you're like welcome to grab like a little like towel. That's what I do, and start moving it. Just hope you don't burn your fingers. But yes, this is.
So tell us while you're watching the sugar. So you don't move it at all?
No, you move it a little bit only when like the borders start to get caramel, and you don't even want to use this. And you just kind of like move it so like the center gets dark, because usually like in the edges it gets already like caramel, but like in the middle there's nothing. So that's when you start to burn. So it's just something that you need to keep your eyes in.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but you don't do anything, just chill there.
So tell us a little bit more about the town you were born in. You said it's outside of Caracas in the mountains.
It is. It's in the mountains. Like that's the way to explain it. Usually what we will do is like, even though I live in Los Teques, it was common for like my family and I to like visit our doctors like in Caracas. So we just go down like the 2 hours and then just
2 hours
like
to Caracas?
2 or like 1.5 because of the traffic. The thing about Venezuela is a beautiful country, but the thing that sucks there is the traffic. Like we have the main road is called La Panamericana. And 10 minutes there can be easily 30 minutes because you have like the motorcyclists. It's like living in New York a little bit, like everything's going on, but you enjoy it because it's like the good thing about living in the mountains that you get to see everything. Like you get to see like the small houses, the big houses. There's so many culture and like so many things that go around it that it's just it has a lot of fauna, Venezuela. So if there's not like a road that you're gonna get bored and like, oh, I'm gonna go to sleep, except you're taking like the 8-hour road. But yeah, so we just go down the mountains. But yeah, Los Teques, the best way to describe the place that I grew up, it's not the prettiest, but it's like the warmest with the people around you. We grew up around a lot of like cultures. Like I said, like Venezuela has a lot of Portuguese, a lot of German too, a lot of Italians, and you get to see that like in the architecture. When you drive down, you have like the European, the colonial way, but then you go to right and then you have one of my favorite places to visit is La Colonia, and it's this place even more towards the mountains, more than where I live. And it's just like this little colonial German town. Like it's just exactly like that. And like the bread is amazing there. So it's just, we took some trips there. I'm gonna turn up the heat a little bit.
I actually visited Colonial Tovar when I was in
Yeah.
Venezuela, and I was amazed because the architecture is like a little German
It's
town.
exactly like a
The
German
same little
town.
bric-a-brac on all the
Yeah.
buildings, and it looks like you're in a little German village. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
and like people have tried so hard to like keep their German roots over it that when you walk there, so you took a step into Germany basically, and
Yeah.
and it was, we love them.
Wiener Schnitzel and all the food.
Yes, yes, even the complicated everything is there. In Christmas, amazing because they do.
Yeah.
In my culture, it's for Christmas we usually have like the rosary.
Mhm.
And I remember like when you get to like those times, we usually like spend the night in the Colonia Tovar, and they'll have like this huge rosary in the middle of like the cathedral. Like it was just all colorful with like the animals and everything. It was just, it was really great. I love visiting over there, especially like in the way to like, we're gonna grab some strawberries and cream. That's something that we always used to do. It was amazing.
Okay, so someone is saying that it's just sugar in the saucepan, right?
Yes,
That's
it's
it.
just sugar.
It's just sugar in a skillet, and we're just
Yes.
heating it over medium to a little bit above medium heat.
Yes, yes. We just want it to be like a little bit to get brown.
So we're caramelizing the sugar.
Yes, basically. If you want it to be like, if you're too scared of doing it just the sugar, you can add just a little bit of water. I don't do that because I just do not like playing too much with the texture of the sugar. It's not something I'm too comfortable with. But if you're comfortable, you're willing to do it, it's a little bit easier because you can like move it a little bit more. So that's the way. But yes, but if you ever get a chance to go to Venezuela, go to La Colonia.
So you said your grandfather has a restaurant or had a restaurant?
No, yeah, my grandfather, he has a restaurant. It's like a city 2 hours from Caracas called Maracay. Over there, like right now it's run by my uncles, but it's this just Venezuelan, pure Venezuelan restaurant with barbecues. They have like restored it over every single year. And it's just something that I had since I was little. So it was common for us just to go there and enjoy like, well, for me, my grandmother, she didn't love the fact that I will visit. She liked my brother because he would be like the guy, like, if you stay there, you stay there. But I was the type of person that they told me, you stay there, you turn around and like go into like the playground, like meet somebody and like talk. So I was just stressed there a little bit. But I loved it. It was so nice to have that culture. The good thing about me is like my family, my background, they're spread across like so many things. It was common for us to like, oh, today we're gonna go to Maracay, the next day we're gonna go to Margarita, which is like the Venezuelan islands, like the beaches. And then we have a family close to the border of Colombia, which is a city named Maracaibo. That's on my dad's side of the family. So we always had to move around, and I got to see a lot of the country. So it's great. Beautiful. Yeah. So you can see here, like the sugar is starting to melt.
Oh yeah.
A little bit. Just gonna turn it up. So I keep turning it on just a little bit each time. So like it has time to melt well as it goes. But yes.
So the sugar is going to liquefy itself.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes, because we're not really trying to caramelize to make it into a hard candy. What we're trying to do is just kind of set up a base that's gonna cover the quesillo. So like when you put it out, it's basically like a flan. You have kind of like that caramel, that shininess. That's all that we want. So yeah, when it starts to get into heat, you don't want it to be such a harsh brown. That has happened to me in the past. So we'll just hope it doesn't happen right now. And you can see here, I'm trying to move it so like the sugar gets even it out, but not too much. I just don't want it to burn. If it burns, I'll have to do it again. But yes.
Yeah, it's browning. That's really neat.
And it all depends on the pan. So don't worry if like right now you do it, it's like, oh, like I burned my sugar. Sugar is something like, it's not so easy to make, and just be patient with it and just make it again. Like I do it all the time. I try not to stress us so much just because I know it's like complicated.
So you were telling me earlier that you are you're finishing your second year here? Yes,
I'm gonna become I'm a rising junior, as people like to say.
Okay, and you're in public relations?
I am. I study public relations, and I'm doing like a business minor and analytics minor. Just not that fun, but you know, it's I guess we gotta do what we gotta do. But I enjoy it a lot.
Yeah, Lucy was telling me that she's not a big fan of the winters here. It's a little cold and snowy.
It is. I mean, the way that I explain it is like I love fall because I don't get to see that at all. And when it gets to snow, it looks so beautiful, it looks so peaceful. But after 2 weeks, I'm like, I need a beach, I need warm, and I love the Northeast, and I want to stay here. But just getting used to the weather is just something that us Latinos were always saying, like, yes, we love it, but no, we need the vacation. We need,
yeah.
And it's so crazy in the springtime because we're so used to like already to be warm, because like I live in Houston right now with my family, and for me to see one day snowing, one day it's warm, one day it's raining, it's just, I'm not used to it yet.
Yeah, we have that in common too. My family lived in Houston for quite a while, and I did not really enjoy Houston because I don't like humidity and heat, but I know a lot of people do.
Yeah. It's a business. I enjoy the people that I was around with in Houston, but at the end of the day, I'm always like a city person. I love taking like a bus and like, okay, I want to walk around. I want to get to know the place. So I like State College. You can take your bus and you just stay in downtown. And but in Houston, it's mostly driving. Yes, it's a different. And you can see me here. Like, I'm not trying to move too much to sugar. I'm just trying to cover the places that haven't melted, because I just wanted to make it as even as possible. That's why you see me play with the piano wash. Not an expert. But usually you kind of want this color. You don't want to make it too hard because this is gonna go in the oven. And even if it's just a little too hard, I'm not saying like it's bad. You can completely like it's gonna taste amazing still. But if you can do it even lighter, like just kind of like have that kind of like caramel that you buy at the grocery type of look, it's even, you're perfect to set it out. It's been a while since like had like the quesillo, like the smell like in my house, because it was just so common to like wake up one day and my mom at like 8 a.m. just cooking, and us wanting to sleep, and you know, like the cabinets opening and closing all the time. I think everyone has been through that.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's like we're getting close here. I will still like keep the pan closed because you want to take the caramel out as quick as possible, because as soon as you get it out, it's gonna start to make like it's gonna caramelize, and you don't want that because you're trying to move it in the walls. Like it stays, so I can move it. If you have any questions, just let me know. I love seeing people just cooking along and looking for the stuff in the kitchen.
Someone's asking, do you coat the pan with anything?
No, just caramel. Don't put anything in the pan, no oil, anything, just pure caramel.
Just sugar. Yeah, you put the sugar in.
Just put the sugar. Yes.
It becomes caramel.
Yes. And this is, as you can see, it's almost done. We only have like a few here to the side, so we're almost close to like coating it. I was telling Tamara, this is like the part that I was like struggle the most. Like I really don't want to like burn sugar and lime TV.
What about the dish that's going into?
So if you're gonna want like I don't know what's the measurement.
A cake pan, like a loaf
like
pan?
a loaf cake pan.
Yeah, loaf
or
pan.
you can even grab, if you have like those like Danish cookie trays, those work perfectly, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna coat the caramel in the pan right here. Then we're gonna put our mixture on top of it, and then we're gonna use a separate. You're gonna need a bigger. You're gonna need two. You need a small one and then like a bigger pan so you can fit it inside. So because what are we gonna do is we're gonna add water to the side, because it's a technique that we call baño Maria. So that way, oh, this is done. That way you're actually cooking the quesillo to make it like a sponge. You don't want it to make like a cake.
Yeah, so it's a water bath.
Yes. Okay, so the sugar is done. And this is the part you need to be really careful. We're gonna add the sugar here into the pan. And as soon as you're done putting the sugar, also just grabbing like a towel because it's gonna start heating up the sides really quickly and you do not want to get burned. It's okay, there's a little bit inside. And we're gonna start like coating it in the walls. Kind of like if you had like flour, so the cake won't get sticky in the sides, you're gonna do that, but with the caramel that we just made. And you just want to make sure that it's good and coated. And you see that color? That's kind of like the color that you're like trying to get for the caramel. I don't know if you can see it right here. Yeah. Really carefully, try not to burn. You just want to get as much as the wall until like the caramel starts to get a little bit hard. Work that. And once everything is coated, you're gonna grab the mixture that we made here with the blender. And we're just gonna pour it. Like, don't be afraid of just pouring it just all at once. We just want everything to be there. And like the caramel doesn't have to be perfectly coated because either way it's gonna move when we cook it. We just want it to be in the walls. Okay, so you're gonna, once everything is coated and it's poured, we're gonna put the dueño this here. We're gonna pour our mixture right in the other pan, and you're gonna need a cup of water. And just pour it over in the sides. You're not gonna pour any water in the mixture. It's just in the sides, so you have like your water bath. And some of it got in the floor. Good. Just has to be a little bit of water, just like 2 cups. Just so like everything is.
Do you do the foil now or later?
And oh, I almost forgot. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna cover everything because the thing that we're trying to do is just gonna create kind of like that vapor. So we're just gonna cover the mixture.
We're steaming it.
We're steaming it. Once your oven is already to 400 degrees, and you have covered your mixture, like to steam it, it's ready to go to an oven, and it's gonna be in the oven for 40 minutes.
Okay, so we're doing a nice tight seal all the way around the foil, right?
Yes.
Okay, you can hand that off to Alex and he'll put it in the oven for us.
There's no water.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're done with one. I have some others. Do I just leave this here?
Yep, go right ahead. Okay, we're gonna bring the camera back over.
Yeah, so now we're gonna do something that like I think a lot of people are waiting. We're gonna start making arepas. And before we get into it, they're not too similar. There's gonna be a little bit similar to the Encanto arepas. At the end of the day, Venezuelans and Colombians, we have so much history, so much culture that is super similar. So we both have arepas.
The instructions say 350. Do you mean 350 or 400 for the?
You can do 400 is good. 400 is good. You can do 350, 400. You just be careful that it needs to be around that 4-minute mark. So if you do 350,
yeah.
yes.
Okay. We'll put a timer on just to be careful.
So yeah, going back to arepas. Colombians and Venezuela were known to fight to who has the best arepas. I'm not gonna get into that conversation. I'm just gonna show you like the way that Venezuelans do the arepas. And if you have any question about the difference, I'll let you know with no bias. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna grab 2 cups of well, in Venezuela we call it harina pan, or like the flour for the arepas.
And this is a special white corn flour, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was telling to Tamara early when I was talking to her, there's a lot of different types of arepas. There's like different flours, there's yellow flours. There's my favorite type of arepa are sweet arepas. That's like a flour with anise seeds. So this one you can use plain white cornmeal flour. Here goes with like 2. I just want to make sure I'm following the recipe because I usually do this at home and like I just go with some
Yeah, with what you see,
and what I see.
It's really hard.
And I don't want to like go off the recipe, confuse everybody.
So
yes, 2
for those
cups.
of you who were looking for it, this was the one we found. It was the Goya,
Mhm.
and it is white cornmeal masarepa. Is that how you say it?
Yes,
Masarepa?
masarepa.
Yeah, I found this one at Wegmans, but I think you can also get it at Walmart and
Yeah.
other stores.
And the Amazon also like brings like the little ones too. That's where I usually buy them too. So okay, so yes, it is gonna be 2 cups. So let me make sure it doesn't have to be perfectly even. Don't worry about it. And here you go. And now I like to do even. So it's gonna be 2 cups of corn. I do 2 cups of water, and if it needs more water afterward, I keep adding it. I put a measurement in the instructions, but you want to see how the dough is acting with the water.
Is it cold water or?
It's medium temperature. It's room temperature water. And it's gonna add it. Right now, what I'm gonna do after you put the cornmeal, you're gonna put a pinch of salt. I already have it here.
Someone says they have maseca. Is that different?
Maseca.
M-A-S-E-C-A.
Maseca. I think that's more like tortilla. I think I never use maseca, so.
I think I saw that next to it. If it's the white cornmeal, that should be right. Pre-cooked white cornmeal, right?
Yes. Just as long as they pre-cooked white meal, you're good. There's like different types of like harina pan and everything. So I'm gonna put just like 1 teaspoon, right?
That's a teaspoon.
That's
Yeah.
like 1 teaspoon of like oil. Just like they don't get stick too much in the pan. The rest is just gonna go in the pan, but you're just gonna put like a little bit. That's something that me and my mom do. You don't have to. Sometimes I just put butter. And now we're gonna add the water. And you're gonna,
I didn't measure that, so that
there you
I'm
go.
gonna use there.
Me acting like I'm at home. Oh God, wait. I don't work for this. There we go. So I'm gonna put 2 cups of water. Don't let me look at the back. And like arepas, I love arepas because there's something so like traditional, and like when we have family gatherings, you're always gonna have arepas. When you go to class, you always like you're gonna like really eat arepas. And if right now it's gonna be watery, so what you're gonna do is just gonna like scoop it with your hand and like kind of like you were massaging like a bread dough. And if you feel like it needs more, you add more. But first of all, it's gonna look really watery, and you just want to move it. You want to see how like it turns out. You can see like starting to absorb it, and like I'm scooping a little dough and like placing it down, so that way you don't have like little balls of like salt somewhere. But yes, in like Venezuelan arepas, I guess I'll do like a little different Colombian. Colombians, they have like the cheese are really basic, they're really good. And the arepas for Venezuelans, for us, kind of like a sandwich. I like explaining it that way. You make like the dough, you heat it up, everything's good. And then afterward, you use any sort of filling. You can use cheese, or what we're gonna do later, pabellon. People like putting pabellones in their arepas. And, or you can even put like chicken. It's just like, it's like a national sandwich, basically. And I love it. You can see here, it's like, we have a little bit of grains in the side. That just means that we can add a little bit more water. So do like, I'll say like fourth of water.
Quarter cup.
Up a quarter cup.
So yeah, because we don't want it to be feeling very grainy or sandy.
So you don't want it too grainy and you don't want it watery. You just want it kind of like that soft, perfect medium. Like, because we're gonna be making little like balls and massaging it. You can see here, so we're almost getting there. It's gonna add just 1/4 more, like a half, basically, water. It's gonna be being 2.5 cups. And if you want to make more, you just double up the recipe. What we did for the pabellon, we double it up for like a bigger family. But since we have a lot of food, we can keep it like that. And later, if you want, we can do that. But it's just so you guys have like an idea, you know, like what a university student does to eat.
Yeah, the recipe that you have that Lucy gave us is basically what she cooks for herself. So it's for maybe two people total.
If you're a guy, I'll definitely double up just in case. Okay, so if you can see here, you kind of have like that squishy kind of like soft.
No, Amy, sorry. Amy's asking about, she's still working on the dessert. So let me go back to that.
Yeah.
Amy, you're going to cover the entire larger pan. So you're covering the pan, the small pan and the big pan all together at one time with one big sheet of aluminum foil. And then you're sealing it tight around the larger pan. So you've got the smaller pan in the water bath, and then you're sealing the entire thing with one big sheet. Does that make sense?
Okay. Everything's good. Okay, so now what we're gonna do when you have like your dough like this, when it's not too, and when it's not grainy, but it's kind of like soft.
Yeah, it does. You don't feel the individual grains anymore.
No, it's just,
and it does stick together.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like Play-Doh.
Yeah, a little bit like Play-Doh.
Play-Doh. And what I'm gonna do is like, we're gonna move to the other side, because what we're gonna start doing is we're gonna heat it up, and I'm gonna show you how we shape that arepa.
I turned this on, is that correct?
Oh yeah, we can definitely use it there if you want.
Okay.
So you're gonna want the little paper towel for someone, and just grab the paper towel. Yeah. And we're gonna put a little bit of our olive oil, or whatever oil you have. It does not have to be olive oil. And I'm just gonna like wet it a little bit, because this is what I'm gonna put in the pan, so it doesn't stick. Okay, we can move over. Yeah, I'm gonna do some here to show, like, can I put it here? Or prefer if I put it there? Okay. And with our little paper with the oil in it, we're just gonna like put it in the pan, I guess. I don't know what the word is. It is bilingual moment. If anybody is bilingual, you know the story, like knowing the word in the description, you just forget.
Yeah, so you use a paper towel with some oil on it to just wipe the pan down, make it slightly
If you want, you can put also like
in that one?
Yeah, too. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the shaping of the arepa. So we're gonna scoop like a little fist, basically. We're gonna make, and we're gonna like shape it into like a little ball. And you can make it any size you want. I like to keep it about basically the size of my little hand fist, basically. So like
maybe
it's like a
little bigger than a golf ball.
But yeah, a little bigger than a golf ball, but smaller than a baseball. Yeah, so like in the middle of the two, I guess. And then we're gonna make like a disc. So we're gonna flatten it out like this. And this is the point that, and then we're just gonna like lay around it. It's like it gets into like this.
So maybe 1/2 inch thick.
Yeah. like this. I like mine a little bit thinner than most, but this is like a good shape that is like squishy and like, you know, like a little, I don't know how to explain.
Yeah.
Like this.
Like a hockey puck.
Yes.
Some kind of a hockey
She
puck.
gives it like the visual aids and I just provide instructions. And after that, let me just, we're gonna heat the pan to medium heat. Did it turn on? There we go. We want first medium. I raise it later on. And we're just gonna put in the pan just like if it was like a pancake. And at good rule of thumb, a little trick that I do is that once you have all your arepas here in the pan, what you can do is put aluminum foil again on top of it, so you kind of have that crust that a lot of arepas has, like on all the sides, not just in the top and the bottom.
Could you use just a lid for the skillet, or does it need to be aluminum foil?
You can use a lid. Yeah, there's not like a specific way. I prefer aluminum foil because I just know that it will get crispy. But sometimes I just, when I'm in a hurry, just like flat it out, like just that's it. You move on. It will still be crispy in both ways. So just a little tip if you guys want willing to use it. Here we continue. And don't worry, it does not need to be like a perfect little this, like some size. I like to, when I bring my friends over and I make arepas, it's like they won't look perfect, but it's done with care. So as long as it's done with love and care, they'll notice that, you know? And if you feel like you need a little bit more wine into the dough, feel free to reach out. Here we have 3, and the rest I'm gonna put it in a little toaster that I brought. That's like, we call it an arepera toaster. And while I'm gonna put it in there, you guys can keep doing your little balls and put in the shape. Right now what I'm doing is I'm gonna cover this one with aluminum foil, so that way it gets a little bit crispy in the other side, and then we'll move it up and down. Let me just cover this really quickly. You guys start sending it. It's right there, yeah. One of my closest friends, she's from Ecuador, but we have this little running joke that it doesn't have to be tightly, by the way, she's gonna cover a little bit. Because either way, you're gonna be opening and you're gonna flip the arepa. Just like a few, like 2 minutes in each side of the arepa. Just wanna make sure like the bottom is done right before I flip it. Yeah, I was saying one of my friends, closest friends, she's from Ecuador. And when she comes to my house, she's always wants arepas, to the point that I'm not even the one eating them anymore. I'm just cooking it. And she's more Venezuelan than I am. Is the heat of pan medium heat? Yes, it is medium heat. Okay, and this is what we call the arepera. You don't need to have one. It's just me just being a little bit quicker when I'm doing. Just does the job for me. Sometimes I just put in the ball here and just.
Yeah, so it makes like 6 at a time, right?
Yeah, this is me when you're meal prepping.
Yeah.
Here we go. Just gonna...
So you're doing basically the same thing, but then you're
Yeah.
putting them in this machine that.
Yeah,
cook them.
they'll just cook them. It's when you're feeling lazy, like I do most of the time, you know, it's the hard work.
Where do you find this?
This one, my mom bought it on Amazon. She just sent it over. Yeah, that's usually where she bought hers too. And if not, like, but she usually just kind of like the pan method, and that's it. But
Okay.
yeah, once you get rules, sometimes it won't be out. Like, I don't even bother for it to be like perfectly like circle, because I know that will make it. So it's really just, if you love arepas, buy it on Amazon anyway, and there you go. It's gonna be round, and you can like experiment, like, oh, I want arepas with cheese. Let me put the cheese in the dough.
Oh, okay.
That's what I do sometimes. I'm just gonna put the cheese.
What kind of cheese would you put in the dough?
So you can put mozzarella. Yeah, I love Colombian do that. I love the Colombian arepas is that they already put the cheese in the dough and then they put it in and then eat it for breakfast. So if you ever, so like I said, if you're ever bored in a conversation and you have like a Venezuelan and Colombian at a table, just ask who has the better arepa. And there goes 2 hours of your conversation. You don't have to
2
say
hours
anything.
of arguing.
Yeah, you don't even have to say anything. Grab your popcorn and you like enjoy like the conversation.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit while we were prepping this morning about how it's the same thing with baklava, because the Persians and the Turks and the Greeks, they all claim baklava.
Yeah.
Lebanese. Yeah.
For us, it's like we claim like the liberator, like everything who gave us liberty, like and these are not
Bolivar, right?
Bolivar, yeah. Okay, so this is done. I'm just gonna close it and I'm gonna check our other arepas and I'm just gonna do the work.
Nice.
Yes, and I'm gonna go back to the other. And I'm gonna wash my hands first.
Let me grab this out of the way so we don't.
When I make arepas for a long time, for example, like you have like my mom or like my aunts, it's generation making arepas. Us Venezuelans, we have a running joke that like their fingers are made specifically for like just grabbing things and then nothing happens to their fingers. Like they're not afraid of like the worm or anything. But as you can see here, we're trying to kind of get that color of like the arepa cooking. It's kind of like this little yellowish. You can keep it like it's black. It does not matter. Like it's just how you want to cook the arepa. I like it for it to be just a little bit like brown, like golden brown, so more of this color, but we're just gonna start flipping it.
So you're not worried about it cooking in the middle?
No, because usually about this type of arepas, like you want it to be soft in the middle. You don't want it to be crispy in the inside. It's kind of like when you grab like a little ball of bread, you know how the outside is crispy, but when you bite into it, it's soft in the middle.
Yeah.
That's all you want, because at the end of the day, you're gonna put whatever you want inside of it. So it's just like your perfect little sandwich.
Okay.
And there we go. We're just gonna keep that rolling.
And then so your electric cooker, it does it cook faster, or it's just the same time?
It's the same time. I just basically when you open it here, you can see that like I like flipping it. Just that way there.
You don't burn your fingers?
No, because I think I burned it so much trying to flip it with this, so they're there. And then you can even see like I wasn't trying too hard to like make it round. This one's perfectly, and the other ones are just made with care and love. I just want that there. It will taste the same. Something that like I'm always like upfront when I tell people arepas or like making Venezuelan food. Venezuelan food, it's really homemade. It's really for you. They don't need to be perfectly like a cylinder, because at the end of the day, you're cooking for your family. You're cooking for everybody else. So, just sure. We don't care too much about like the symmetry of it.
So while these are finishing up, should we start pulling out the other?
Yes. So I'm gonna keep the oil to the side just in case I need it, because I have it right here.
So we're going with this one next, yeah?
Yes. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about the sofrito before we start getting into it, because a lot of people are still making like their arepas and like cooking them. Yes, thanks. And the thing about the sofrito, it's the base of a lot of Venezuelan food, and not just Venezuelan, like a lot of like it came from the Spaniards. It's really common for them to also make sofrito, especially when it gets into like stocks and everything. They're usually gonna have like a base before it, and for Venezuela it consists of peppers, onions, and what we know as ají dulce, which is like this sweet pepper in Venezuela that we unfortunately don't have it here, but you're welcome to use like the peppers that we're gonna have today. And it functions as a base to give our meat and our beans flavor before we get into like the pabellon. It's basically like it's the base of the pabellon. It's what makes it like pabellon. If that makes sense. I'm just gonna check that out really quickly first. I'm just gonna turn up the heat a little bit. famous. That's what I do. So I usually, as you can notice, like a lot of the recipes that I do, I always start in medium heat and I build it up like as I go. And you don't have to use, you can see that's like it's getting like a little bit black in the top. And don't worry, it's supposed to look like that. But yes, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut some of the peppers and the onions. As Tamara said before, I did a lot of cutting before starting because I was afraid it was not gonna make me time. So, but you guys take it as your own pace. If I'm going too fast, just let me know. Right now, I'm just gonna cut this half little onion so you see that you want into squares. The secret about a sofrito is that you wanna cut everything as short and as little as possible because then that way it won't take as long as to cook. And it just makes your job easy. And it does not need to be even. By no means am I a chef. Tamara saw me slicing and she was like, she's slow. She's like my mom. I'm like, I'm slow.
You're a perfectionist.
Yes. Oh yes, I got that from my mom. It's so funny. My mom, when she makes like cakes and everything, me and my brother, we know to get away with the kitchen, not because she stresses, but because she's a perfectionist and we just like, we don't like seeing her struggle. We're like, we're just gonna let her be. So, and I learned, I got that from her. So it's bittersweet because we love having like our traits from our mothers, but sometimes I like to save myself the stress if something doesn't turn out right. So as you can see,
So they're very finely diced is what she's saying.
yes. Yes, that's where my English comes through. And then just gonna keep this out. But yes, once you like learn to make sofrito, it really like changes like the way that like you cook meat and everything, like casseroles, because it changes the flavors. Like, you know, it's like when you, instead of buying chicken stock in the Walmart, you make your own chicken stock by using like the water of the chicken, you know. So it's nice to know about it. And sofrito doesn't necessarily means these are all the ingredients you need to use. It changes. It really depends on what you're trying to make. I'm just gonna check that first before I think would you mind like burnt arepas in the show, like Venezuelan burnt arepa? Oh, see, this is how you want them.
Okay.
See, like this little like dark. Some people like it lighter. I like it like this. So I'm just gonna wait for the other side to get just a little bit close like that, and I'm gonna take it out. So that's gonna be done like about a minute, I would say. And I'm just gonna keep cutting. If you guys have any questions, let me know.
So we want to put those in a skillet if you're. What are we gonna do with
yes,
those?
Everything's gonna go in like in a skillet. So I'm just gonna
It's not all gonna fit in there.
Yeah. We can use the skillet. We use for the caramel.
Okay. Yeah.
This one is also getting.
Okay. We're gonna flip this one. My mom doesn't really like flipping them. She's like, Lucy, just keep them there. But I'm stubborn. I don't really do that much, especially when it doesn't cover the sides. I'm gonna keep this onions. I don't think it's gonna fit here. We have to really put the rest of my onions. And you just want to cut everything in little squares. You want to cut the celery. Right now in this sofrito, thing that I want to mention, we're not going to put tomatoes or cilantro. So that one's going to be for the separate. That's when we get to the beans and the meat. For this sofrito, we're just going to need the red and green peppers, the celery, the chive, the onions, and the leek. I read it because I'm bad with the vegetable names in English, so I have to like keep looking at the recipe to know what's the English word for it. But yes. And like if you want to be fancy, you can definitely like up like this is a really like home type of vibe sofrito. Some people take it seriously. I was like, fine, super family. I really don't like. I can't care. I'm gonna just check on that if I feel like it or not. I like the way the pictures and you have to burning. Oh, I have to. So here's how I like the arepas. Like I like it just a little bit like this. And I'm gonna check on the other one. So this one, they always take a little bit longer to make. But this one, like that's the pretty one.
Yeah.
That's the one I'm gonna use in the picture. But anyways, I'm gonna put this to the side. I'm gonna leave this here just in case you want your arepas to look like that. It definitely doesn't have to look like that, but it's kind of like you have like Venezuelan arepas again.
So someone said they bought the already made sofrito. Don't judge.
Oh no, I'm not judging. I actually have one in my bag too. So, you know, it's like if you already have it pre-made, that's wonderful. You save a lot of effort, honestly. And then I'm just gonna cut this before we get started with the sofrito. This is the peppers. So now I feel like you need like having friends from Spain, anything you want to sound fancy, just talk about food. They just talk about food, talk about sofrito. Then it's a great conversation starter. Okay. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put everything in the pan that we have here to the left. And we're gonna start making this a big. I'm gonna walk you through, unless you have the pre-made one that you save yourself some time. And I'm gonna bring a little bit of big oil. We're gonna bring some cumin, some salt and pepper. So just to kind of like clarify, we're not gonna use right now the tomato or the cilantro because that's gonna be another one. I will also suggest leaving a few cut green, red, or orange peppers that we're gonna set aside for the rice. Right now, we're just gonna have again the onion, the celery, the leek, the peppers, and the cumin, salt, and the oil. So we're gonna put like about 2 teaspoons or 4 teaspoons of oil, and that's like as if you're doubling it up. Like this. And let me just heat that pan. And I'm gonna set it right now to medium. You want to set your pan to medium. And the first thing that I like to do, I like to put my onions first because they're usually the ones that take the longest to cook. And oh, I need no brown. There you go. Onion, and then I slowly start adding the ingredients. You can put it at once too. I just put some of the onions first just because I know it takes longer. And
So we already had some oil in there, right?
Yes, so we already put the oil in there, and now we're just putting the onions, and we're just setting it there. We're not gonna salt or anything. Just gonna let it cook for a little. You have the sofritos, you want to cook it low. So this time you're not gonna see me increase the heat. I'm probably just gonna like lower the heat as I go. Going backwards, basically. Okay. And when you see the onion change a little bit of color, that's when I'm gonna put everything at once with the chives being the last one because they're the ones that are gonna take longest. So we're gonna put our peppers, the greens and reds. So let it cook in there. A little bit. I'm gonna put our leeks. Yeah. Yes. And then lastly our celery. And now it's like I'm gonna put like a little bit of salt, pepper, a little bit of cumin. You're gonna see me just in a little. I just want everything to be mixed, so like everything with the oil. And don't worry if like make sure it does not look as big as mine. Again, like I said, for the pabellon, I doubled the recipe. So like we can all eat dinner today. And yeah, so let me just move this here. We're gonna put a little bit of salt. It's just gonna be like a pinch because I was taught to start low on salt and then build it up as you go because you want to make sure you don't, because you can always get more salt, but you can never go back if it's too salty. So I'm gonna put a little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper, black pepper, fancy pepper, just a little bit of black pepper. And we're gonna do a pinch of cumin. Be careful with the cumin because we're gonna use it for the other sofritos too. So you really want to start like just with a little tiny pinch and build it up to the taste. Like so. It's more like just a tiny pinch. And we're gonna move it because cumin's really strong. And this is the part that my mom's hates and like we hate when she cooks this because usually Sofrito gives like a strong order around the house. So like after this, like she's making this, she's put like some kind of like some cinnamon to like make the house smell like cinnamon now and not like you're making green peppers. We call it aliño in Spanish when we do this. Like, oh, I smell like aliño. There you go. So we're just gonna let it in like this. I'm not gonna move the heat because right now we're good with the medium heat. And we're just gonna keep, see now it's gonna take a little while because you want it's a slow cooking method, basically. You don't want it too harsh, but you still want to keep an eye on it because you don't want everything to go super dark. You're not trying to burn the vegetables. You're just trying for that little liquid to kind of get out. So that's the thing about sofrito. It's like you want a little bit of the water of the vegetables to come through, and that's how you know you made your sofrito. So I think that's the way a little bit. I can start making the rice. Okay. Yeah. I'm just gonna let this out. So I'm gonna show you a little how to do the rice. I'm just gonna do basic microwave rice with some of the peppers that we have left before continuing. You will need a bowl. I'm gonna keep an eye on that. So with the rice, we're gonna do, since we double up, it's gonna be 3 cups. So it's gonna be 3 cups of rice, 3 cups of waters. If you're doing the original version, it's just gonna be 1.5 cups of rice and 1.5 cups of water. So it just depends if you double up or you're starting with the single. First cup. Thank you. And if you see me looking over there, I'm keeping eye of the sofrito. There's one.
Someone's asking, when you cook the brisket in the crock pot, do you prep it with salt or anything else?
So I will prep it with salt, pepper. If you want to be like a little bit more like the way that my mom do it, we just put like a little bit of a pepper cut and a little bit of like chive because you just want like the aroma. But honestly, just a little bit of water, a little bit of pepper, and a little bit of salt. That's just good. You want it to be a little bit liquidy when you're done. Either way, when we cook a little bit of meat, we're gonna add some water too, or some like the water meat that was left from the cockroach, kind of like it was stuck. But if you want the basic answer, salt, pepper, and a little bit, just like a 1/4 of water. That works for this.
Also, how many black beans?
Black beans, 1 can. That the original recipe has 1 can. If you want to double up, 2 cans. I forgot the counting of the rice, so I don't know if I have 1 or 2.
You have 2 cups.
2 cups.
You have 2 cups.
Okay, so in case. 2 cups. A little bit more. I'm a messy kitchen, like that's why I'm not a chef. I told Tamara when I was in high school, I told my mom that I wanted to be a chef, but then I'm messy, I'm slow. Those things in the kitchen are not allowed. And as you can see here, I put some of the pepper. It's your choice. It does not have to be 1 pepper like it says in the recipe. I just like a little bit so there's flavor in the rice. So my suggestion would be like put like 1 tablespoon or 1/4 of any pepper. It does not have to be orange, it does not have to be the green, and it does not have to be the red. Just your preference. Just like the rice can have a little bit of taste. I'm gonna add a little bit of pinch of salt, and then the water, and it goes into the microwave with silicone.
A 15-ounce can of beans?
Whatever the regular can.
Yeah.
And she did specify the Goya. Yes, it is 15.5 ounces. And it's this is the one she specified, the Goya black beans. And I can see why, because these stayed kind of, they weren't mushy when you opened the can. They stayed firm.
Yeah, you want them to be a little firm, because since we're gonna cook them and mess around with the texture. I don't know. I'm biased. I live with Goya around my house so long. My mom is like always Goya. So I'm adding right now the 3 cups of water. If you see me going back into it, so I don't make like more mess. I already added the salt, the peppers, and now I'm just gonna move this around. You can see here, this is our rice. You're gonna wrap like a little, what I do, like a plastic wrap. I'm gonna wrap the rice. That way it's cooked for me. There we go, perfect. And we're gonna put it in the microwave.
So she did use the minute rice for this. If you
I
want to
did.
use your, you want more of a long cooking rice, I think you can certainly do
Yes,
that.
I just, I was in my university mindset. I wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So I'm gonna put this in the microwave for 10 minutes since we are doing 3 cups. If we were doing the original version, which was 1.5 cups, I will only keep it for 5 minutes until like the rice is soft.
Someone asked, if you're using regular rice, which do you recommend? I have a rice cooker.
I would just say just basic jasmine white rice. That's great. I'm gonna put here 10 minutes.
Yeah, just 10, 0, 0, and then start.
Yep, and there we go.
Okay.
Okay, now we're gonna get back to the sofrito. I'm gonna grab something to try it out, see if we're missing any salt, any pepper. Again, you want to keep it kind of low because since we're gonna work with we're gonna separate the sofrito when it's done. You don't want to have too much salt, too much pepper, because we're gonna keep adding as we go along. A little bit. I told Tyra that I need to remind myself to I'm cooking for people. I'm not cooking for myself. I need to be changed before. So it's still kind of like firm, the vegetables, so we're still missing. I will add a little bit of salt, and I will do the cumin later. If you put a little too much. Like that. And I'm gonna add the chive.
This is a little bit, it's got some oil in it, but that's fine. It's okay. I'll get you the other one.
And this time I'm gonna add the chives. We're almost done with the sofrito. As you can see, it's starting to change the color, become a little bit transparent. That's what we want. You can see it's starting to get a little like the vegetables dropping a little bit of liquid. I'm just gonna keep adding this right now before you do the process and the meat and everything. So when we get into that, it's complicated. So we gotta separate this. Can I get some more turn really quick?
Yeah. It smells really, really good in here. Obviously, anytime you're cooking onions and peppers and all these things together, you get a great smell. So she's checking her arepas in the,
So you see like the difference when you make it like.
switching over to the other camera just a second. There we go.
You can see like the difference when I make it like the pan and when I make it like different textures, not like all here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, this one looks perfect. It looks like
Yes.
one of those things you buy for your kids with the peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
when you're patient and you want to take your time, it definitely look like this. When you're like me, you will look the other way. So like now like this, now we're gonna get into finishing the pabellon and the beans. I'm gonna grab what's as this like when the sofrito looks like this, it's almost done. Or I'm gonna separate it because I'm gonna use half the sofrito for the beans and half the sofrito for the beef because there's two different ways of making them. So can I have another pair? Can I use this one? This one? Yeah. I'm gonna have this one. Turn it off for a second.
I think it's time for the flan to come out.
As you can see, here we separated our sofrito. It's for meat, and the other one's for our beans. And this sweet does not have to exactly half, just so I know like the way to follow it. Right now they're getting out the flan. When you get out the flan, set it there for a little while. I'm just gonna check it really quickly. Like
The foil to be stuck to it like that, or should we raise it?
we're gonna raise a little bit of sauce. But because either way it's gonna go down.
Okay.
So what I like doing it, I take a three piece of the foil, separate it so it doesn't keep heating it up.
Alex says the hot fats.
Yeah. Take it out.
Do you want a maybe a cooling rack or?
Yeah, let's put it in a cooling rack and we're gonna cover it with aluminum foil. And we're just gonna let that cool. So you're not gonna cook it over, like it's cooling off. I even, my mom does that once it's kind of cool, we set it in the refrigerator and then pour it out. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the other. Turn this off. Let me see how the arepas are going. I'm gonna turn this. Okay, so now we're gonna get into the meat and the beans. Before we get into it, it's gonna be really quickly. So for the beef, so after it's out of the slow cooker, I think that's the name, Your meat's supposed to have just a little bit of liquids here. You don't want your meat to be dry, and it should be easy to shred like I did here. The meat is gonna have the sofrito that we just did, and with tomatoes, as you can see, we cut in little squares, and Worcestershire is soy sauce, and we're gonna keep condensing that. Later on, when that's done, we're gonna separate it, and then we're gonna get into the beans. So let me just do this really quickly. It's a really simple procedure. I'm just gonna take everything over here. We're gonna bring the Worcestershire sauce, the beef, and the tomatoes. That's it. I'm gonna turn off the heat again. Put our tomatoes. I'm gonna raise a little bit the heat. Medium high. And Worcestershire sauce, we're gonna do it with the meat. And now we're just gonna do it like this. I'm gonna cook it. At the same time, I'm gonna do the one with the beans. So that way, because we're running a little short time, but just so you guys have an idea. In one pan, you're gonna have half of the sofrito with the tomatoes. And in the other pan, you're gonna have the sofrito with cilantro. I'm gonna turn this on for a bit. Medium. Medium heat. And this is the part that we're gonna like start with coming. I'm gonna change it that way. Too much. And here we're gonna put our beans in the cilantro one. And here we're gonna put our tomato ones with the meat one, you know? And we just a little bit of cumin. No, and just a little bit more in the other two. Just a little bit of salt. Just a pinch, you're just gonna keep adding. That's it. And you see how like already the tomato is getting watery. So that's what we want. We want kind of like that. What's going on there? It's getting close so we can add our meat. It's like definitely multitasking. Okay, so now we're gonna add our meat. Yeah. So Tamara's gonna bring right now over the liquid that we took out of the slow cooker from the meat. You're welcome to just use a little bit of water. What we don't want to do is just put all over the meat so it gets dry. Because at the end of the day, we want like a really like I said, like a little bit of the liquid. That's the secret about it. We call this carne mechada. Shredded meat. We're gonna put half and keep adding as we go.
Are the cut tomatoes have skin on or peeled?
No, you can keep the skin on. If you want to feel fancy, a lot of people take off the skin. My mom and I, we don't because it's really meat. If you want to, you're welcome to it. I know the trick. So you just put water, boiling water, you put the tomato in a few seconds, and you put in ice cold water and it should be able to peel. We're gonna put the black beans in. As you can see, the beans, the water is drained. It's just the beans.
Yeah, we rinse them as well.
Yes. And two. And you don't have to take your rice because right now it's really wet, so you just want it to get. I just do not want the microphone to keep eating.
It's a lot of really nice color, the contrast with the black beans and the
Yes.
green and red.
Like a fancy picture.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep adding the meat here so I can keep adding the wash. The sauce. I'm just gonna call it the sauce now. And when I mean, I will say if you double up on the recipe, we'll say two teaspoons. I just kind of like the little cap is how to measure things. And do the two of those, but if you're doing the original recipe, just one little cap of this sauce that I cannot pronounce. But oh my god, just
I don't think anybody can pronounce it.
Someone's asking me how much cilantro did you put in?
I put
One bunch.
it was one bunch, so I will say a cup if you're doubling up, half a cup if you're doubling up. I think the gap is recipe. I just do not want it to overflow. You only really add the liquid when you see things too dry, but I can see here at the cameras, it was pretty good, so. Only there. You want to put that for me?
We need a bigger skillet.
Yes, so I think we're good with those before starting increasing the skillet. I'm gonna start increasing the heat on both, still medium high. And it'll be ready. Change color. And the meat is ready when it starts changing to like this really brown color. That's why you want to keep increasing the heat. Now I have for the meat to high heat because you still, even though you want that watery, you still want some of the vapor to like get off. And that's how you get your meat for this. So now we're just gonna keep cooking and so it gets like brown. Hopefully make it in time. I'll send a picture. But yeah.
Do you want the bigger skillet?
I think so.
Let me give you the other skillet. It won't switch over. It might.
That way it's a little bit easier to move. We're just gonna change skillet. And I know like the recipe for the beans said sugar. I'll explain that later in a second. Do not add sugar to the beans right now. That's just something like really traditional. Depends on like the region of Venezuela. Because the thing about pabellon, like I said, Venezuelan food is really homemade, so it changes through how family and through how the region. Even in Christmas, we have like traditional like Venezuelan hallacas, and the preparation of that just changes every single time for every single region. You're from the north, the south, east. Just we're all similar again, but we're all different. Just gonna add a little bit more chili sauce since I did double it up on this.
So those of you who are cooking along at home, are you keeping up?
You can say no, it's okay. And I'm gonna taste the beans really quick. You see how it's starting to get like a little bit water with the beans. That's like we're getting to that. And some families, they don't even add like the peppers to like the beans. It's really just a bit of onion, a bit of cilantro, and you're good to go.
Someone says yes, and it smells really good.
Oh, good. Get excited. It's like, I think the closest I've been to my house is like, my family lives in Houston. Most of like 80% of my family still lives in Venezuela. So it's like the closer I had to like Venezuela since I visited my mom and dad like 2 days in spring break. It's like, it's nice getting that experience. I'm gonna get home and it'll smell like food all the way down to my toes.
No, so when you, Doug's asking about the beans,
Yeah.
we did dump the beans into a sieve and then we rinsed them. So we're not keeping any of that liquid from the can.
Yeah,
We're
no.
rinsing the beans.
It's like the reason why I don't like keeping the liquid for the beans is that it's really salty, that water that comes into the can. So, I mean, if you're gonna do it, I want to put that much salt in there. That's what my mom told me. She was like, that's my little secret. I'm like, well, it's not my secret anymore, I guess. So here we go. I'll try a little bit of beans because these seems like they're almost done or too done. When it gets to that way that you can like squash them, they're basically done. So I'm just gonna turn off the heat for the beans and I'm just gonna let them cook with the heat that's already there. I'm gonna try this. Needs more. Let's try it. So bad. It's the same for me. They're good. They're perfect. Just want them soft enough that when it gets in the plate, it's just, they're good, you know, they're beans. And good. Okay, so we're done with this. I'm just gonna let it sit there. And we're just kind of see that color, kind of like it went into that translucent color. And I just want to keep them like that. We don't want to cook them anymore. So we're not trying to make like a bean soup. We're gonna put the set to the side so this will keep cooking that heat. Now we're just gonna left with the meat. So you can see here, it's trying to kind of get that color, and get that flavor. You can even keep adding some of the sauce to like get into that really, really harsh brown. My mom's usually like really brown. Kind of like a casserole type of look. Okay, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt because mine's missing a little bit of salt. We will come in and more of that little. I'm gonna call it W sauce from now on. So I keep trying to say the entire name and I can't. A little bit of this. Look at that, and just a little bit of here. I'm gonna put a little bit of these little caps. And we're just gonna let it heat what we have ready. The good thing is that once we're done with this, you just need to set it in the plate and just eat it how you like. I might even make more arepas after this. We can have like more. They can be like prettier too. And for the people making the quesillos, just make sure like to keep an eye on it. The 40 minutes are up. And remember, we're not really trying to cook perfectly the meat. The meat is technically already cooked. We cook it in the slow cooker. We're just for this. We're trying to get some of the vapor out of like the water that we have beat out, but not so much. Still want that liquid type of beef, and we're trying for the beef to get flavor. That's mainly our goal with the pabellon, with the shredded meat, basically. Okay.
Carolyn says you can see how much you love your family, your heritage, and your food. Thanks for sharing. You're an energetic cook, and she can almost smell the deliciousness.
She's so sweet. I love her.
She says those cooking at home are brave. Hats off to all their kitchens. Some folks are saying the meat looks really good. Doug's flan is still cooking.
Good, perfect, guys. So I'll let it hide for a little while. It's almost done. See, like the water is having a little bit of vapor.
So when you are gonna present this at home,
Yes.
do you keep everything in separate dishes? Do you do a big
So
platter?
what you're gonna do, so the way that we set it up, we make a really big platter of meat in one side, beans in another, and then you have the rice all in one platter. A lot of people, we like to also use plantains, and that way, the way that you eat pabellon, it's either separate, or I like doing it, I just mix everything up and I just eat it. And I just put it in my arepa and that's it. Some people they're like, oh, you never like mix the thing. Like for them, mixing the pabellon is like a crime. I'm like, no, because they're like one's portion here, one portion here, just mix it. But it's however how you like. But as you can see here, the meat is basically almost done.
Someone's asking, do we need to take the quesillo out of the pan?
So I will not take it out of the pan until it's a little bit more cool. That's why we kind of set it in the side. Later on, you will put it in the refrigerator. When it's that really cool, you can basically.
Yeah, but what we could do is show everyone the one that she made ahead of
Oh,
time.
yeah.
We do have one that, because we thought this might not be cool in time. So we have one that she made and brought over. We can pull this over.
I'm just gonna try it for me.
So this is the one that she made in advance. And we turned it out onto a platter. And when she did that, she had to kind of loosen the sides a little with a knife. Then we turned it out onto the platter, inverted the plate over the top and then flipped it. And then poured the additional caramel from the pan on top. And this is how beautiful it looks. And I will.
Okay,
well, show you what it looks like if we cut the slice here.
they call it quesillo because when you cut it, it looks almost like cheese.
Yeah, it does.
That's one of the
And so, I mean, I guess it's up to you how big a slice you would want to have, but I love this, so I would probably do about like that. And I wanted to show you. It looks all nice and white inside with the caramel all around the edges. It's beautiful. Okay, there's that.
you can see here, the meat is basically, you want it to be like this. So when they're showing, just so like you have an idea how the meat should look like, you can see that it's not overly watery. You still have kind of like that flavor in the sides. The color of your meat will honestly depends how long you like to cook it in the slow cooker. But at the end of the day, it's still cooked and we still have kind of like that water in the side, and it has to kind of have that strong kind of like coming taste coming with the other vegetables. So this is kind of should look. So now we can like flat this out. I'm just gonna keep it cook a little longer, but you guys have an idea how it should look. Just a little bit.
Oh, Amy's asking, should we turn the flan out while it's still warm?
No. So no, I do it just that it's like when it's like in room temperature, because it's just a little bit easier. It just so that way the flan doesn't shatter when you replace it. That's my home. I just want to make sure all the meat is in the center is cooked. It's there. But we can begin to platter the rice and the beans. And
Okay, Luciana, your family says they're very proud of you.
oh, my family's here.
To India?
Should we go which one? To India. Oh, India. Oh. Yeah, my mom is there. She signed up with her Gmail. Her taquiniata@gmail.com.
Okay,
But okay, so we're good to flatter this out. First day.
With the hot pads, like over there.
Yeah. Okay. It's a little bit hard, but since we like let it sit on a little bit, we're gonna put that last. So then we just have a spoon and put the rest.
Spoon here.
Yeah. No, so yeah. Here we go. Trying my best. I'm not the best at flattering things pretty. I'm not gonna lie, but we'll fix it. Oh, and this is like when I say the sugar was optional, is that there are some regions like the city of Margarita where some of my family is like the beach area. They like to put sugars in their beans. I like to too, but right now I'm not doing it just because I feel like it depends on the person. And we just kind of like that sweet type of taste. If I put all the beans in
No,
there,
you can just, I think just save room for everything. So
Yeah.
just, that's enough, yeah.
yeah. Then we're gonna get into like the meat. Now put this back. Do you have I don't know what they're called, pinzas? So like, so I can grab like the meat.
Tongs?
Yeah.
Tongs. Yes.
I'm gonna bring better the plate over there before I. My arm strength is not that well for the rest of the meat. Go. I told my mom I'm gonna try my best because when you're like a daughter, like son of somebody, you will never look exactly like your mom. Or you can get close. That's all that matters. Okay, I put a little bit there, and now we're gonna put the rice. Let me see. A big platter like pabellon. And some people like, again, they put like plantains and cheese. Just whatever feels good. And you're willing to use the arepas that you cooked, like this ones, and just put it inside of the pabellon. That's basically it. I'm gonna have to wash the sides.
Okay, we have the cheese.
Right here, and then there's the cheese.
Okay, so if you were going to make this now
Yes.
and eat it, what would you do?
So this is the controversial part to every Venezuelan. You can eat it like I said, one the beans, then the meat, then the rice. You can be like me that I mix everything up like it was like a bowl of like soup and I just eat it alone. Or the way that I like doing it is I like grabbing a knife.
Right.
I open my arepa too like this.
Okay, so you cut.
We cut it and
All
we're
the way
cutting
in
it
half,
like
yeah.
all the way in half. And when it's warm, it's way easier. And you see like that arepa is like soft in the middle. And we just grab, and we just put like a little bit of each into the side. And then you have like your arepa with pabellon. And you just put like this. I'm gonna put it sit here.
Okay, so a little rice, a little beans, a little meat.
A little meat, and it's not too controversial because at the end of the day, you're putting arepas. People cannot come for you, but I'm already used to the criticism, so I just
And then maybe cheese also.
and a little bit of cheese. And you can even put butter in it too, and then you just close it, and then there's your pabellon arepa like this.
Oh,
And you
beautiful.
just eat it.
Nice.
So that's
Oh, and the flan
and
looks
the
amazing.
flan, and that's the flan. So yeah, that's like our Venezuelan type of dish, like the little caring, humble way of doing it.
Back to the front.
And if you ever like me, like now you know how to make arepas, and now you can make it softer any way you want. You can maneuver your way through it. But yeah.
Wonderful. Well, again, I wish everyone could be here to smell how delicious this smells and to try all this amazing food with us in just a few minutes. I want to thank you for coming, and I want to invite you to next month's World Kitchen, which will be on May 22nd, and that will be Peru. And that will be Derek and Tati from the Cake Shop by Tati, which is local here in State College. It's actually out in Pleasant Gap. So please join us then. The information for that will be up on our website early next week, as well as the video from today. If you need to go back and look at something or watch again how Lucy made this, because I'm sure it takes more technique than we even realize. So please join us again. And thank you so much, Lucy. I can't wait to dig in.
Enjoy, guys.
Thank you all.
Bye.